Somehow, my daughters fell in love with Formula One. I don't know how or why, but I'm not arguing. They may not know wheel, but does anyone?
Hi, and welcome to the We Don't Know Wheel F1 podcast. I'm Anne.
And I'm Grace. We're two sisters who fell in love with Formula One, much to our father's joy, and decided to make a podcast so we could force our friends and family to listen to us talk about the thing we're obsessed with. And joining us today is our dear friend,
Jamie. I'm back. For those who listened a couple episodes ago, I'm Jamie Davis. I'm also a F1 connoisseur.
an F1 connoisseur, a Daniel Ricciardo connoisseur, and a wine connoisseur.
And we are all here to toast the 2022 season and Daniel Ricciardo and Seb and Mick and Latifi.
And Latifi.
Some
Don't forget him.
Yeah.
Latifi, I literally just watched like a compilations of all the times he has crashed the car.
Oh.
Through no fault of anyone else. And like, I'm not here for bullying, but it is, you just sit and you watch and you think, no, it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be when you turn down the wrong road while you're on the racetrack and then are like, I don't know what happened. Something went wrong with the car.
And I will say, as you are all aware, I'm not a huge Lance Stroll fan. And I think Latifi is a very nice person. I think he's a good guy. But I think that Lance Stroll is much more deserving of a seat in Formula One compared to Nicholas Latifi. We're going to compare the two true, what's the right word for it? Pay drivers on the grid.
I didn't say it. You said it.
It's a real thing. They are.
Daniel Ricciardo wouldn't say it.
I don't know why you say that, Grace.
I think he was on a podcast recently where they asked him about it.
Oh, you're right.
And he very like he really skirted it in an elegant way where he was basically like, you make it into Formula One, you're still a great driver. And I think that's like probably something you can say about Nicholas Latifi. Like, he's still a great driver. He's not really
the caliber of Formula One.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, what is the history there? Because I'm a late bloomer in
F1.
Yeah. How did he get in?
So Nicholas Latifi comes from a very wealthy family and also has a lot of sponsors in Canada. And the money that he is bringing to Williams is, I'll say it was a significant factor in him driving for Williams the last 3 years.
Got it.
Was that a more elegant way of saying it, Grace?
Yeah. And again, I'm gonna take the Daniel Ricciardo approach and say, like, he's definitely still a good driver. It's just, there's a difference.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I don't know. It's hard to say because the Williams seems like it's been a very difficult car to drive this year, just overall.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's a little hard to like make a true comparison. But let's jump in to the Abu Dhabi season finale Grand Prix.
Yeah, where to start?
Yeah, what are the hot takes, Anne?
Hot takes. Oh. Here's a hot take. I think in a lot of ways it was a more interesting race compared to the season finale last year, with the exception of the controversy at the end of last year's race. Because with these new cars, as well as I think they slightly redesigned this layout of the circuit, cars could actually pass each other. And apparently there were 3 cars that were all like jockeying for position and passing each other and like swapping back and forth on the last lap. That was totally missed by TV direction.
That's a bummer.
But
we're talking about in this race to Oh yeah, I believe it. There was a lot of because Daniel and Seb were fighting at the in the last lap. it was definitely like there was a lot of passing. I thought, even though it kind of like fell into place, like Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercs, they were close and like very competitive with each other throughout, except for Verstappen, who was like off doing his own thing, pulling ahead. And then at the end, I loved Max being like, "What happened to Checo? Oh, that's too bad." Yeah.
Well, yeah.
No remorse for Brazil.
Didn't expect any.
No.
Yeah.
I will say, over the course of the week, I think my opinion about whether or not Checo crashed on purpose in Monaco has been evolving.
Boy, tell us.
Yeah, what's that hot take?
Well, I just have seen like more journalists who really know what they're talking about, as well as like former drivers talking about some of the reasons why it looks like that could have actually been possible. And I think one of the things that really sealed it for me of like, oh, this is a distinct possibility, was Carlos when he was asked about it, and him saying that like, I'm not going to comment on the specific situation, but as drivers, we know that like people crashing on purpose is way more common than people think, and we're able to tell just basically by looking at onboards and seeing some of those telemetry whether or not that is the case. And so Carlos saying that, as well as Carlos not saying, and it's like Checo didn't crash there on purpose, kind of makes me feel like he did. And yeah, I don't know.
So
Still does not excuse what Max did. Because why do you need to hold a grudge from 6 months ago?
No, that's nuts. And I really lost my mind this weekend, and I did go back and watch all of the Monaco qualifying and the Monaco Grand Prix. And I was watching the like F1 version, not the international version. And there was a commentator, and it was one of the like past Formula One drivers, who was like, "Oh, it sounds like something went wrong there." Like they made a mention that they thought it didn't sound like he was braking at that turn the way that he had been. So I thought that was a little interesting. But I also like don't necessarily get what the big advantage that there was there, except that he was faster than Max. But he had been faster than Max, like all weekend and in all of qualifying. So I don't know why he thought that Max was suddenly going to overtake him, and it still put him in
third.
Was it in third?
Yeah, I think the explanation would be that Checo thought that he was not ever going to be fast enough to get ahead of the Ferraris, and so he wanted to do what he could to keep Max behind him.
Which I know, like, at that point in the championship fight, there was, like, a little more, it was closer.
Yeah.
But it still seems wild. Like, you weren't, I don't know.
It's also one of the tracks where it really matters where you qualify compared to some others.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of other tracks where even if Checo had qualified in front of Max from doing a, like, perfect, amazing lap, Max probably would have just passed him in the race.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's wild that Checo then goes on to win that race when he only starts third.
Yeah.
Ferrari
really
like, had a bad day. Yeah.
Were Ferraris first and second? I don't remember.
They were. Yeah.
Okay. And
the short version is that there was a like torrential downpour right before the race was supposed to start. So then they delayed it for a while. And everybody started the race on wets. And then most people switched to intermediates for like 3 to 4 laps. And then they switched to slicks. And Checo was one of the earlier people to switch. I think he was the first out of the like top group of 4. Yeah. Ferrari hesitated for like 2 laps. At which point Checo had undercut them.
Yes.
And
Carlos seeing this was like, we're skipping intermediates and we're going straight to slicks.
And Charles did not insist on that call. And then the other thing that really screwed Charles over is that Ferrari double stacked the pit stop onto slicks, and Charles was too quick behind Carlos and like lost a couple of seconds there. And so it ended up, after those pit stops played out, it ended up being Checo, Carlos, Max, Charles.
So Charles didn't even end up on the podium.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. He did finish the race though. First time in Monaco.
Oh,
it's like
consolation.
You finish that race and you're like, I'm beginning to see Charles's like descent into madness.
I had an interesting conversation with Mom today where she was talking about some of her favorite and least favorite drivers and found out that she is not a fan of Charles Leclerc.
He was getting like really, there were some complaints about him after Brazil where people were just like, he's being a little whiny.
She will say that she like feels like he complains too much and like gets mad at bad stuff happening to him.
So have you seen the meme of, it's from Harry Potter, and it's when it's Hermione and Harry Potter, and Hermione I think is like telling Harry Potter to stop, like I don't remember what's happening in it, but basically Hermione is saying they're only doing it because they think you're the chosen one, and then Harry says, I am the chosen one. But they've replaced
for Charles.
Yeah, they've replaced Harry's face with Charles and Hermione's face with Carlos. Does he really think that Charles like is the chosen one to like redeem Ferrari? And I don't know, it's a lot to
he is the golden boy.
I feel like Carlos has done such an incredible job though. Like he's really worked with the car, and I mean it seems like he's made a lot of really good calls for himself.
I did enjoy in the race when he was like, when they were like, the tire deg is better than we were expecting, and he was like, I disagree.
Yeah. I really liked the meme one of you guys sent that was I can't remember the picture, but it was basically like, it basically said that if Carlos was doing strategy for Ferrari, then Charles would already be the world champ. Not be wrong there. But I feel like for me the most exciting thing about this race was tire strategy, because I feel like the race kind of played out I don't know how we would expect. It wasn't anything too crazy happening other than like, you know, some people getting out, and that was unfortunate, but there weren't any big crashes. I don't feel like there were any big upsets or nothing crazy unexpected happened. So
the most unexpected thing was just Ferrari having really good pace as well as hanging onto their tires super well, which for a majority of at least the second half of the season they've struggled with a lot. I think it's also been kind of interesting to watch Checo this year, because he in the past has had a reputation of being like a tire whisperer, of like getting his tires to hold on for a ridiculous length of time, but that's one of the things he's actually struggled with this year, which is like kind of weird to see. But it was really fun watching him try and chase down Charles, and I was pulling for him.
He was getting close at the end there too.
If there had been like two more laps, I think he would have got him.
Yeah. It was definitely like I think tire strategy, it was so tight on. And it was interesting that Charles and Max, they both went on a one-stop strategy, right? That was definitely like Carlos was not on the right track there.
Which I think if Charles and Max had done a two-stop strategy, Checo could have had a possibility of winning the whole thing.
Yeah,
because his undercut, once he got his second set of hards, was so good. He had like such good clear air, and he got all the way up to Charles.
Yeah.
Super fascinating strategy.
It was super interesting that Sebastian Vettel went with the one-stop strategy too, but was like, that was the wrong call.
Yeah, because he extended his first stint way longer and then just got like dragged back by people, and it was sad to watch.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. But so, like, quick recap, we've got Max wins again. He pulled far away.
Yeah.
Max and Charles both go on a one-stop strategy. Charles holds on to those tires really well.
Yeah.
And then Checo does a two-stop, and he's trying desperately to overtake Charles after the second stop. Almost catches him, but just not quite. And there's
I think
nothing
it was 1.3 seconds at the end.
Yeah, there's nothing Max can do to really help him.
Yeah.
The only thing he could have done is like try to push back Charles, which I have to say I don't think that was a reasonable idea.
No. And I saw some people making a comparison to Checo holding Lewis back last year in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
But I think the big difference there was that was just Checo's pace on the track. He wasn't like Checo wasn't purposefully slowing down to let Lewis catch him to then slow Lewis down. Lewis just caught up with Checo, and so then Checo drove in a way that forced Lewis to slow down in order to pass him. It was different ask to tell Max, slow down 8 seconds until you have Charles on your back, and then Checo can get past. Yeah. Different scenario.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so, and then it was just a nice race for like Seb being in the points, Daniel Ricciardo in the points. There was like good racing overall, lots of overtaking, and I loved seeing was it Joe Gonyu and Vettel who raced a bit. Yeah, it was just a nice race.
Yeah, I feel like the F1 TV didn't show enough of the midfield stuff. It would have been nice to see more of that. Because
they were showing a lot of Checo chasing.
Yeah. Checo, Charles. Did they show much? I feel like it was Checo and Charles.
Yeah. They showed a lot of Seb at the end of his first stint when people kept passing him.
Yeah, that was tough.
You know who gets no coverage is Lando, because he's always alone.
Yes. He's always behind the top 6, but kind of in front of most of the others.
Yeah. He's really killing it.
Races. That's what I thought too. Yeah, he had a great race.
Yeah.
He's very much always best of the rest.
Yeah. And I feel like I really enjoyed all the like little team videos after the race of the drivers moving from one place to another. I saw one that was like literally night of Alonso walking into Aston Martin. I liked Nick DeVries on the dolly being dropped off at AlphaTauri, and that was so sweet because you could tell everyone was so happy for him.
Yes. And apparently before they put him on the dolly, they tossed him into the harbor. And then,
I saw that.
Another tradition in Abu Dhabi.
Love it.
The Pierre and Yuki's last like race review together video, so sweet. And apparently Pierre for like 2 years has not ever let Yuki come over to his house.
So funny.
And in this video, he finally invited Yuki over for dinner. It's very cute.
I know.
But Yuki has to cook.
Yes. Yeah. What do you think that's all about? Why hasn't he gotten the invite until now?
Oh, I think it's just a joke.
All right.
I don't know.
But
I think you guys are hanging out that much.
It's a bummer. I mean, they're hanging out a lot.
They're hanging out a lot.
Yeah, I think it's they see each other so much already.
Don't come to my house.
I also feel like those two have always had the relationship where Yuki as a fellow, he kind of attached himself to Pierre. Especially because, I mean,
it's giving younger sibling to me.
Yes, exactly. And I think Yuki is much more attached to Pierre than Pierre to Yuki, if that makes sense. But still,
I'm gonna cry.
I feel like, I don't know. I love that Pierre like kind of, it looks like he like took him under his wing, but they just had such a good banter. And Pierre was saying too, he was one of his best like relationships with a teammate, which is fun.
That's
I
so
was trying to
cute.
think who else Pierre has been teammates with. So it's Max.
Daniel
just-
Kvyat,
Yeah, Daniel
Alex
Kvyat
Albon.
was. I
No,
don't.
they were.
They
teammates.
weren't ever teammates because they just swapped back and forth.
Ooh.
Who
on
were they
opposite
swapping
teams.
with? Daniel?
No, like, swapping to be teammates with Max.
No,
or
I
on
understand that.
AlphaTauri.
I'm saying who was the other
Yeah,
teammate?
Daniel Kvyat was the
Okay.
other. I think it would have been Toro Rosso driver at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Okay,
remember
so
when the
this-
team changed names.
Did Pierre? Yeah, who was on Toro Rosso before Yuki?
That's what we're
Daniel
saying.
Kvyat.
Kvyat.
Got it. That was before my time. Not really. He was probably there when I was watching Drive to Survive, but I hadn't watched.
He doesn't get a
Big
lot of
race.
airtime on Drive to Survive.
Okay,
Barely any.
Sorry.
that's probably why.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think one of my favorite things in the race that Anne was like, you got to go watch this, was Daniel Ricciardo's post-race interview.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, tell me more about that, and then I want to talk about his ending radio call too.
Oh. So it was with the F1 TV team for their like post-race show, which this week it was led by Will Buxton.
Yes.
The other person who was on there that like I remember the most being on there was James Hinchcliffe, who used to be a driver for IndyCar, who's been doing a few races commentating for the F1 TV team. And James Hinchcliffe was trying to convince Daniel that he should come to IndyCar and he doesn't have to drive the ovals and that he would just have so much fun. And it was, number one, it was very sweet because they were having a good conversation about how healthy it will hopefully be for Daniel to really truly have a break from driving Formula One every single week for a while. And then number two, the like personal appeal of someone who's done IndyCar telling Daniel how much fun he would probably have doing it was adorable.
Yes, and I loved like Daniel saying like, I get messages from a lot of IndyCar drivers saying, come join us. But I think the thing I liked the most was him talking about like, actually, when I sat down and thought about it, it's not just that I wanted a better car, but that I wanted to make sure that I like love this and want to do this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to jump back into another team. Like, I don't know, to me, it had hints of like getting out of a bad relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it made me very hopeful for him, because maybe he doesn't come back racing, but I felt like, to me, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it had implications to me of like taking care of your own mental health and well-being, and that's really important. So I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
What do we think about him being a member of the F1 TV staff?
We love that.
Yes.
We love him being a Red Bull reserve driver. That's nuts.
It is nuts. I feel like it could lead to some unhealthy internet conversation whenever Checo might struggle of
I would
put Daniel in the car, take Checo out.
Well, I was going to say, like, I do think if Daniel really wants a seat at a top 3 team, that is the team that has the most instability in drivers. And like, historically, it's just like, you're in or you're out. And we can change whenever we feel like it.
Yeah.
Whereas like Merck is not going to get rid of George Russell. Like he's in it for a while. They're not doing a mid-season change-up. They're not doing a mid-season change-up with Charles or Carlos at Ferrari. Like,
No.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, but yeah, I mean, you're right. It's toxic, but he knows that. And
True.
that's like, actually the toxicity is the necessity.
If it happens, I just hope that there are some hilarious and random YouTube videos with Danny and Max and Checo, and they'd be hilarious and adorable, and that's my only hope. That's my only goal.
I think
Yeah.
that those will definitely be in our future.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the last thing I wanted to touch on was just the Seb and Lewis of it all, and how and Fernando. I just like
Sure.
those three together, and I loved that. Yeah, like Lewis is just full in denial. Like Seb's coming back. I'll see him soon.
Fernando
We'll
said-
race again.
Yeah. Fernando said the same thing. He's like, I know you'll be back like me. So see you in a year.
Yeah, and even I read that Fernando went up to Seb at the beginning of the race and was like, I won't try and race you for the first lap or something.
Yeah, I
And
saw
I was
that
like,
too.
Oh, Fernando's turning into a little softie.
Ooh.
I don't know about that.
No, absolutely not. Never.
I will say I was surprised by how many different sweet tributes to Seb there were. The drivers all getting together for dinner was adorable, which I think I think the reason why it pulled at people so much to see the pictures of them from dinner is that we're so used to seeing polished professional pictures a lot of times staged, and it was so sweet to just see these pictures that were so unpolished, and you could see just the happiness they all had from just spending time with each other. The donuts at the end were adorable. The little honor guard that all of the other drivers did as Seb came out, and he did a bro handshake with all of them was so sweet.
And a hug for Lewis.
Yes, a hug for Lewis. And also hearing both Lewis and Seb talk this week about how I think I first heard it in Seb's Beyond the Grid interview, and he's talking about his relationship with Lewis. He talked about how their relationship grew after they had a bad incident or crash years ago, and they made the decision to sit down and hash it out, and it ended up with them becoming way better friends and knowing each other better and getting along better, and it was so sweet. And then it had a interview with him and a package about him at the end of the race. I was not expecting all of that, and it was very touching.
Yeah, it was sweet. Should we Okay, so should we talk about the dinner of it all?
Ooh,
because all the boys went out to dinner, and that in itself is a feat that I'm just impressed by and love. And apparently Lewis arranged the whole thing
and
paid for dinner, had to find a restaurant that they all could agree on, which apparently was quite hard. And then the seating chart was amazing, and I loved Checo and Max far across the table from each other, opposite ends,
and also
Fernando
sitting next to the two teammates who were also fighting with each other. So much shit talking going on.
Yes. And you've got the Spanish Inquisition all together, of course. And then what was it? It was Mick, Seb, and Lewis Hamilton, that little sandwich.
Wasn't there a Danny and Lando thing going on? They were together?
They were next to each other, weren't they?
I think so. I know that there was a group shot of all of them, and that had one dynamic, and then there was the seating chart at the table, and that also had a different dynamic.
Daniel and Lando, I think they were separated by Charles.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they were very close to each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that in the group shot afterwards, we had a meme going around of drawing arrows, here are all the here and you were together, obviously heartwarming. The Max.
These are enemies. Yeah. These are lovers.
Yes.
These are fellow countrymen. Yeah, that was good. And I agree with you, Anne. I was just telling Sarah, my favorite thing is to see the very unpolished. I love to see a driver with like a little razor burn or a zit, and like I can see their pores, and it's very humanizing. And like, don't airbrush it. Let's get into it. Your flaws are what make you so beautiful.
Maybe it also felt super different because none of them were wearing any team clothing or like dressed up for like when they're walking into the paddock. They're just like wearing clothes.
I noticed a lot of just like really nice t-shirts happening. And I think also to like touch off what you guys were saying, that's why I've been literally living for Danny JPEG and Lando JPEG. Those photos are so fun. They're so exactly like what you're describing. So that's to me the best F1 social media out there.
Yes, I'm obsessed with Danny's Instagram of his photography because it's so
good,
poorly like what is that called?
Well, it's not curated.
It's not curated, but it's also like the photos, they're not like set up in a way where you're like, this is the focus and it's in the rule of thirds, or it's got the golden ratio. It's like
framing.
You should get a company to hire him to be a paddock photographer next year, because he can just like go around. All the drivers know him and love him, so they're gonna be comfortable around him. He's gonna take these terrible but very candid, adorable photos. It'd be amazing.
I'm gonna be like, yes, agree, but also I don't think he needs to monetize that skill. Like, just let it be a hobby he enjoys. I think he has enough money. Jamie and I have both contributed to the Enchante Chalet fundraising.
Oh my god.
He's fine. And speaking of, should we get into our first driver product review?
We're gonna do a product review.
This is a first for We Don't Know Wheel, and we're very excited. Drivers, send us your merch, send us anything that you're selling. We would love to review it. Only positive reviews. Just kidding. We're very serious here.
We're not sponsored by this, but we would happily be.
We would love to be sponsored. Danny, please send us some wine.
Yeah, and if you want to be on the pod, we would love to interview you.
We would love to have you. And if you can figure out how to get the wine to go to Minnesota, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
I'm in the frozen tundra with no wine.
So first off, I will say, Danny had these fun little promo videos where he's like fancied up, which to me is like kind of a fun juxtaposition. Danny's not usually super fancified unless he's doing like a Vanity Fair ad. And we have a special guest with us to help show the Danny Ric 3 Daniel Ricciardo by what is it, St. Hugo wines. We have our in-house wine sommelier. Yeah, here, do it this way.
Check out this packaging.
Sorry,
the packaging is luxe. If you're worried that the cost is too high, remember that the cardboard is fancy.
Look at that. It looks like the 3 is racing. Like, it's very,
we love that.
Racer vibes.
Racer
like
vibes.
Classy.
He's an athlete.
Racer.
These are real racing stripes.
Racing stripes. Did you guys see that McLaren did another new livery on their car for this past week?
They love a sponsorship. No.
Okay, so we're figuring out how to get this wine out of the box.
Be careful.
It has like a really nice stand situation happening. Also, some D3R. Okay.
Look, he signs the back.
I'm sure he personally signs each and every bottle.
We have a Ric 3 signature. You can never get it. Today on the menu we have, it's a deep dimple. That's always something that I look for.
Is that good or bad?
I think that's good.
Okay.
There's no reason to justify that.
With the cost of the wine, it better be good.
And we have a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Also, doesn't a deep dimple mean that there's less wine in the bottle?
I'm going to fill this up with box wine after we finish this. In true Buses tradition.
Is it a screw-on cap?
No.
Absolutely
bro.
Nice. The bottle number So
Yeah, this
bottle number.
Don't show it, then they can make fakes. I'm just kidding.
Sorry. I was not thinking that way. Okay. Give me a second here. Carry on.
We have a very basic wine opener. But yeah, so we're excited to try out our first, merchandise from a Formula One driver. And, we're ready to send our money to these rich tax evading drivers. That's allegedly, I have no idea.
That's a hot
taxes. They're only doing that if they're smart.
Okay, question. What's the alcohol that Valtteri sells? Is it gin?
A gin, I think. We could do
Oh.
gin next.
Yeah, do you think he ships that to the US yet?
We
Or
can
is it
find
like
out.
just in Finland?
I'm down for a gin tasting.
Ooh.
Should we get that to Minnesota?
We can try.
I'd be
I'll do some
jealous.
research afterwards.
Yeah, do a little research.
I'm nervous. I don't want this cork to go down in the bottle. I don't know if I used.
These are not that hard. These are doable.
Okay.
We're working with some really basic equipment.
Okay. So you just kind of do a little shimmy.
Mhm.
I'm shimmying. Do you want me to go further? Okay. I'm doing a shimmy on the cork right now. I'm a little nervous. I don't want it to break the cork. Kind of splitting a little bit. Do you want to give it a go?
Let me try.
Okay. Grace is now shimmying up the cork.
I'm gonna step out of frame for a moment.
Okay. Nick's gonna step in first. Oh, Nick's gonna be our he's gonna help pour the wine.
Got 2 glasses here. Very excited.
Oh, the cork has
Ooh.
been popped. Okay, so
smell the
I was gonna say, ooh, it smells fancy.
It smells fancy.
I'm getting oak barrel, maybe.
Am I supposed to?
No, please don't touch. Please don't touch.
Does Nick feel like he's perfectly
Fun
in
about it.
between the two computer screens?
This might be my favorite segment of the pod so far.
It smells good.
It smells really good. It does. Now, what's your experience with wine, Grace? How?
I've had a lot of box wine in my day, and not from going to college parties because that's what the parents provide.
Oh yeah. He's his family classic.
But we're California wine drinkers, so I thought a
Yes.
cab was like a good idea for us.
That's a great idea. I wouldn't say I'm a connoisseur, but I'm an appreciator of
Yeah.
wine. So I'm here for it.
Jamie's got like a wine membership.
I do have a wine membership.
I do
Okay.
not. Pour us
Pour us a
sommelier.
glass.
Pour us a glass.
Sommelier.
I feel like mom and dad instilled in all of us, Grace, that like sweet, like white and pink wines are terrible.
Yeah, they're not here
I've
for sweet
always hated them. They always want like a dark red or something very dry.
Thank you.
Grazie.
Oh,
Danke Seb.
Danke Seb.
Danke Seb. Okay.
So,
We're not gonna let it breathe this time. We're just gonna go
We're
straight
going
in.
right in. Okay, I'm gonna smell it first.
Okay.
you could
I
have
do a
decanted it
smell.
earlier.
I do a swirl. No, I'm gonna do a swirl, a smell, and then I'm gonna do a sip.
I had to show the world that I could open that bottle.
I'm impressed. I'm gonna
Just
do a
off
swirl, a
camera.
smell, and a sip. Okay. Here we go.
It's very smooth.
It's really smooth.
It's so smooth. It's not super dry.
Mm-hmm. It has no bite to it. Sometimes I feel like I'll get a cab and it'll kind of get me back in the jaw. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I'm gonna do a swirl, a
Okay.
smell, and then an aeration as I drink it in.
Oh my god.
Swirl. I had an old roommate that taught me this trick. We'll see if it does some different,
Let's see
opens up some notes.
Yeah.
In the wine. Incredible.
Do you
That's,
feel like it changed it up?
it does. It aerates the wine.
Okay.
It like helps it I don't know, change some notes in the wine. Yeah, you can slurp it. Oh, disclaimer, we are all over the age of 21.
Barely.
What flavors are you tasting, Grace?
Okay.
It's definitely a good bottle of wine. 10 out of 10 for me. Would recommend.
Yeah, it's definitely good. I taste grapes.
It's giving grapes.
Grapes.
Okay.
Um,
That's a great start. That's a grape start, if you will.
thank you. I've been picking a lot of wild grapes by my house recently.
Do you think Danny Ricardo picked some wild grapes to make this wine?
And a little bit of like blueberry and
Blueberry. Okay. Where is this winery?
I think it's in
Australia?
Australia.
It's an Australian winery.
I think so.
There isn't what's the one? Barefoot. Is it Barefoot from Australia?
Probably, but I think this is
Really?
fancier, not barefoot.
It's definitely fancier than
I
Barefoot.
would hope so.
Although, what do we know?
A wheel. Yeah. How did they
We don't know wheel and we don't know wine.
product of Australia? So what is Australia?
Definitely like some berries. Maybe more like strawberry than blueberry. Nobody judge me for this. I don't know wheel and I don't know wine.
Okay, I was initially saying oak barrel, but I think this was definitely like a metal barrel situation. It tastes a little more.
She knows wine.
It tastes a little more metallic to me. Not in a
It
bad
might
way.
be the glasses.
Could be. We have a nice,
Sorry, guys.
light metal rimmed glass here. For those listening to the pod at home, to describe our glass, nice silver rim around the top edge.
It's not lead.
Excellent.
It's honestly so smooth for a cab. I'm gonna be honest.
So smooth.
I'm not usually a cab person. Like, it's usually really heavy. This to me is really smooth, really, really easy to drink. It is like it's heavier than, like,
Yeah.
it is heavier, but it's not like, I feel like some cabs you're just like, all right, I'm going to do a half glass.
Yeah.
It's so heavy.
I might have to check a bag to bring this to Minnesota for Christmas. Ooh.
Yes.
I'm feeling like, okay, this is giving also, I can't put my finger on it. Maybe like plum.
Ooh, yeah. But like wild plum.
Yes. Wild plum. Danny, I really hope you went out and picked some wild plums for this. Oh, I got a little chocolate in that.
Oh,
A little
yeah, I can see that.
aftertaste.
It's like, that's,
Yeah. Sometimes they'll taste like a clover, like an herb, or like a spice. I don't taste that in this one.
grapes.
It's solid on the grape scale. What would you pair this with?
Like an aged Gouda that's like a little salty and a little creamy.
Creamy for sure.
Yeah. What would you pair this with?
I definitely could see some kind of red meat. Grace is a vegetarian. How do you do? I don't know what I'm saying. But I'm like, I'm
Maybe
not
a honey baked ham.
We're just throwing out all the sponsors tonight, folks. Actually, I don't see ham for this. I am truly picturing a steak, just a rare steak.
Wow.
And potatoes.
Okay.
Kind of maybe some green beans.
I would go with a nice cheese.
And I would definitely go with cheese. Absolutely. Creamy cheese, I think, is spot on.
A creamy hard cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Creamy hard cheese. So not
That's
a
like
brie?
a Gouda. No,
Okay.
not a brie.
Okay.
I think brie's like too soft for it. It needs something that like bites back with it.
Mm-hmm. It's a little sweeter than other caps I've had.
Yeah, that's why it's so like there's no bite. There's no bite, as
There's
Jamie
no
said.
bite.
No bite.
So overall ranking,
I give it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
I'm a fan. If I include the price,
That's what brings it down.
7 out of 10. I mean, it tastes good. I don't think you can deny that. It tastes good. It's good wine.
It's really,
It's
really
good
delicious.
wine from a wine expert, a
It's-
grape expert. I have a childhood memory of going to a vineyard with our parents. I don't know how much of a childhood memory this is, but I think I was probably like maybe old enough to drive because I think I was the DD. This was in California.
You were probably like 16.
Yeah, I think I was like 16 and maybe like the aunts and uncles were around as well. And it was like, Grace can drive now. And I remember Dad, like everyone had been wine tasting and Dad went down and picked some of the grapes and he got yelled at.
I do not remember that.
I don't think you were there.
Was this in California?
That's a deeply, yeah, it's in California.
Yeah.
That's an unlocked wine memory for you from the catalogs.
I just remember
And now I get it. I like to pick a grape too. I'm like, every time I pick a grape, I think of my dad.
I just remember the trip we took to South Dakota, like
Did you go
5
wine
years ago
tasting
now.
in South Dakota?
No, but when we were in the Black Hills and Badlands, we went to a place where there was a like winery on one side of the road and the other side there was a brewery, and we went to the winery first and Mom and Dad just complained about the wine the entire time.
They like to complain about a Midwestern wine.
Yes, because it's all very fruit forward, I would say. Because we don't have the ability to grow too many grapes around here. So it's all like blackberry wine. And then we went to the brewery and that's where you get the good stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you want to join and review this?
We have a fellow Midwesterner.
We have
Well, what's your hot take on Midwestern wine?
Fruit wine?
Mm-hmm.
Fruit wine. Fruit forward?
Fruit forward.
Yeah, we have a
Do
second
you want to taste
Midwesterner.
this and give us your thoughts from behind the camera?
Oh yeah, do you want to
This is our editor. Just kidding.
She's sniffing. She's giving it the sniff. She's doing the sip. She's aerating. Heavily aerating.
Don't choke.
Swirling in the mouth. Tilting the head.
It's sort of tart. It's nice. It's very smooth. There's no bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
Right?
not fruit forward.
No.
I think it's fruit backward.
Fruit backward.
Backward.
What would you say is forward in
Before it
this?
hits you at the end, I think the tartness hits you at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and it sort of like rolls around the sides of the tongue. That's what I'm getting.
I think the tart makes me think of the fruit that the tartness, it's the skins.
Yeah. That's
I like
it's
that.
like I think that's where you're getting the plum from, because you get the tartness of the plum skin first and then the sweetness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why
Yeah.
it's so smooth.
Yeah.
I'm a fan, Danny.
Danny.
I'm a fan. Send us another bottle. You'll get another positive review. No. I would never. I'm very ethical.
That's true. I would actually be curious to try the other one. It seems like this is a bougie wine brand. I'm going to be honest.
I like that
You
we're
don't
like,
say.
I'm going to be honest. I haven't heard of St. Hugo. So I don't know anything about that vineyard. But based off of taste, it feels, and price, it feels extremely bougie.
we should have done a blind tasting with like other wines.
That's a good
then
Yes.
That'll
Yeah.
be next time.
Yeah, we can do that at Mom and Dad's with the like box wine as well as the $12 wine from Total Wine.
Okay.
Have you guys seen the Can at Kirkland segment that's been floating around? It'll be kind of like that, if anyone's seen that. It's like this, it's a boy band. They're not boyish bandish, but they try all the different Kirkland alcohols and then compare it to like kind of a run-of-the-mill alcohol. So we could do something along those lines.
Sounds like
Shout
a
out
blast.
to the Can at Kirkland boys.
Love it. Well, what do we have other thoughts on Danny Ric? I think we should do like a wrap up of the season podcast maybe in a week or two. So
Yes.
we'll just leave it where we did.
I do have one more question for both of you, which is from the pictures of the driver's dinner, some of them were holding like black envelopes, and some people online started theorizing that Seb had written all of the drivers' like letters.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think that actually happened?
Yes.
I'm kind of convinced that it is.
I think it is real because I feel like he's actually like very well known for writing people letters.
Oh,
Like he wrote people letters back in his Red Bull days. He's written many a letter. So I'm gonna go 100% yes.
oh.
After listening to the send-off video where Charles talked about how Seb personally called him up and thanked him for the work he was doing with the simulator, I wouldn't, it would almost surprise me more if Seb didn't do that. I think
Yeah.
that seems right on par.
I think what we really should be buying next is maybe some Seb merch, because I think it's like actually like ethically produced and goes to a good cause. So
that's what I
will
should put
add
on my
that to our
Christmas
list.
Elfster list. Seb merch.
Seb merch.
I didn't get to weigh in on this, well, maybe I did, I can't remember, but weighing back in on the Seb send-off, I will miss seeing whatever shirt Seb is wearing. I feel like he wears these very simple plain shirts. It's just like a white shirt with black writing for whatever like issue that he's trying to represent or draw attention to. And yeah, that'll be missed around the paddock.
He's just way too good for F1.
Yeah.
F1 does not
He's
deserve
probably
him.
not tax evading at all. Very German.
Only for organization.
I'm actually really excited. I feel like a year from now, I'm curious to see what he ends up doing. That's kind of what I've been thinking about recently, is like, where is Seb a year from now? What's he going to get into?
Yeah. Do you think he's still going to be one of the leaders of is it GPDA, Grand Prix Drivers Association?
Yeah, I think they talked about that on the post-race show a little bit, and they were like, for sure he will be. He's always been involved. He always cares. I think he's going to be the next like guy who leads the driver debrief.
I love that.
What?
Let's petition to get the driver debrief back on.
Get it back online, buddies. No, but yeah, I mean, if he comes back, I'll be really interested to see what he does.
Agreed. Second big question for the night. Do you two think Matteo Binotto is losing his job?
No, I don't. What do
you
you
don't think so? I think
I don't
Fred
know.
Vasseur is taking his job.
That seems nuts.
Okay, from what I know so far, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Ferrari seems pretty what's the word, dedicated to their people. Is that wrong?
Well, so actually, supposedly that was like a big change with Mattia Binotto, that he came in and he really changed the culture from very much a culture of like, you don't do well enough, you're out, to like, we're a family, we work together to improve things. I don't know. I think I would be surprised if they decided to change it up right now, because I actually think the last couple of races, Ferrari kind of pulled it together a little bit.
This past race.
Yeah.
I don't know about Brazil.
It was interesting seeing.
Yeah, Brazil was a mess. They put him on inner.
Mexico City was the best. Yeah, I don't know. I doubt it. I feel like Ferrari is the kind of place where like they leave things for a while to see what happens.
So how did that get leaked? Because when we were watching the race, I was like, oh, that's his last time too. And Grace was like, no, that was a rumor.
It's
so
just all been rumors. I don't ever know where these rumors come from. I just see them on Twitter.
I feel like someone like probably they did talk to Vasseur, but I just don't believe it's happening yet.
Yeah. Well, apparently Fred Vasseur has been in charge of the team that Charles has been on like 4 times in the past, and they get along super well, and so it'd be very much a move to make Charles happy.
Yes, which also makes me feel like that's a rumor that like Charles fans would want to spread.
Yeah,
just to be a full Carlos girly over here.
Wait, so to be honest, I don't know all the names of the people yet. Who is the person that they're saying is taking over for Binotto?
He's the current team principal of Alfa Romeo.
Okay.
I don't believe it. I think give Binotto at least another season before they make a change.
I was in shock when I heard it, so I find it hard to believe.
Should we take bets?
But I will say, I did see the post-race interview with Binotto where they were like, so next year, are you guys going to win the championship? And he was like, we're going to try and be competitive. And I was like, whoa, bud.
It's just so surprising. Like, it doesn't make sense to me logically how Ferrari can end up with this great car, but not act like they're ready to try to actually fight for the championship.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
getting the great car should be the last thing you have in place to be ready to fight for a championship.
It's like if Haas had the fastest car on the grid and then had to figure out what to do with it.
Yes. Which I will also say, I feel like there is much more internal chaos at Haas than I realized.
Oh, yeah.
And which makes me a little bit happy that Mick is getting out of there, and hopefully in a year or two he'll get a better drive somewhere else. It also made me feel better hearing that it was entirely Danny Ric's decision never to call Haas, and to, like, he wanted to decide for himself that he wasn't going to drive this year, and it didn't have to do with like who Haas was as a team. It was Danny wanting to just like take a break. But,
Yeah.
anyways, random
Yeah,
thoughts
there's a
for the
lot of
night.
stuff. There's plenty to talk about
Oh yeah, always.
next time.
It's also a very weird feeling of, even today as the first like official day of winter break, online there were still photos of like Pierre getting his Alpine seat fitted, and like some other teams were doing testing, and like
Yeah,
it
because there's
never
testing.
stops.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And
Yeah.
Checo went jumped out of a plane with parachute. Why am I
Skydiving?
They love to skydive.
He went skydiving
Checo by himself with friends?
with the instructor on it, like where it was like a pairs skydiving thing. I don't know if he was with a friend or not. I just saw it on his Instagram.
That's funny. The adrenaline, the chase, the thrill. I did see the thing where Pierre was trying to convince Charlotte to let Charles go skydiving.
Yes, that is hilarious.
Spicy.
Spicy.
I know. What do we have to look out for
Spicy.
during this
break?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I feel like I got in too late in the season here. Now all of a sudden it's over.
Don't worry, they'll be back at the beginning of March.
So long.
The only dramatic news that I anticipate happening is if Mattia Binotto loses his job.
Spicy.
Do they do last minute trades during the break?
Spicy. They can do whatever they want.
Oh, sure. Whenever they
All
want.
Okay. Yeah, let's be a fly on the wall in the Haas garage.
I'm guessing we'll see stuff from testing the next couple days, and then like nothing until livery reveals in like February.
What does an F1 driver like Mick do? Does he get demoted to F2, or are those seats all like, is that a thing?
No, now he just hangs out.
You just chill.
He's rich. He's fine.
Most likely going to, or the rumors have been saying he's going to be a reserve driver at Mercedes.
Oh.
I saw that Toto said they'd be happy to take him in.
Oh.
But
which, I mean, his dad, the last couple seasons that he drove when he like came back was with Mercedes.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. The more I know, the less I'm convinced about Mick Schumacher, but don't come for me, Schumi fans.
Whoa, is that a hot take that you're holding on to over there?
Yeah, I do.
You're gonna release it, or are you gonna keep us on the edge of our
I'm gonna
seats?
keep you on the edge of your seats till we find out what's happening with him.
All right.
I will say, Mom also not impressed with Mick.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was sharing some hot takes today. We should get her on the podcast sometime.
Oh, that'd be fun.
We could do that. That could be arranged.
Oh, yeah. We really need to get Dad.
Well, I think we'll pull it off someday.
Mm-hmm.
He said to me when I was home that like he doesn't think his voice is good enough to be on a podcast.
He has a great voice.
Mm-hmm.
I know. She'll have to help me convince him.
Easy. Too easy.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
to the 2022 season of Formula One.
Clinky.
We
Yay.
will definitely be back during the break with some random episodes.
Fun.
We still don't know
Stay
wheel.
tuned.
I
Absolutely not.
do not know wheel, but I do know we will be back in the 2023 season.
We'll see you all there.
And thanks for having me today again, ladies.
Anytime, Jamie. And
Perfect.
thanks everybody for joining us on the We Don't Know Wheel F1 podcast. Bye.
Over and out.
Bye.
Bye.